What's popping, guys? In this video, I'm going to be covering the life of the 15th century Renaissance man, Leonardo da Vinci. To get a better understanding of how Leo's mind works, or anyone for that matter, I believe it's critical to have a good grasp of what that individual's childhood was like. Born on 15th of April 1452 in Anciano, central Italy, Leonardo was born as an illegitimate child of a peasant woman and a lawyer. The father, Ser Piero, acknowledged Leo as his child and accepted him into his estate nearby in the town of Vinci, where his surname was derived from. Because Leonardo was born out of wedlock at a time where the class system was in full force in Italy, it meant that bastards like Leonardo were expected to become nothing more than a butcher or a baker or any other similarly low-class profession. I mean, to put this in perspective, you weren't even allowed to claim your father's surname if your parents weren't married at the time you were born, never mind get a full-on education to excel. So, Leonardo, devoid of any formal schooling, armed with nothing but basic arithmetic, math, writing, and unboundless curiosity, turned to nature as his educator. He spent his early years in nature, closely observing how the birds fly or how the rivers flowed. Along with his stepbrothers, he would play fight and imagine being victorious in wars, just like the stories his father told him. This was the life of Leonardo up to the age of 15, where he was slapped with the reality that he wasn't going to get his father's property because of his birth situation. However, seeing Leonardo's talent and interest in art, his father, Ser Piero, with the help of his connections, managed to get him an apprenticeship under the artist Verrocchio. Under his master, Leonardo learned a great deal, not just painting but sketching and sculpturing as well. After dedicating most of his teenage years and early 20s learning the crafts under Verrocchio, he reached to what many would call the stage of mastery. When presented with a painting, now named The Baptism of Christ, Verrocchio was simply in awe of the masterpiece. It was at this point he knew that the student had surpassed the master. Now, having reached the age of around 25, Leonardo left Verrocchio's studio to become an independent artist. Over the next few years, he did some artistic work here and there and continued to fuel his seemingly insatiable quest for knowledge on the side. Fortunately for us, we're able to get an insight into his mind and his side interests through his journals, where it's estimated that he produced around 20 to 28,000 pages of notes and sketches, which equates to around 50 notebooks. In these notebooks, he covered so many different topics such as painting, engineering, philosophy, warfare, physiology, landscape, proportion, perspective, geography, and geology. From records available to us, it's known that he started journaling around the age of 26 and continued to write an average of 3 pages a day up to the age of 67 in 1519. Now, before watching this video, it's fair to assume that you thought Leonardo was merely just a world-renowned painter for his works on the Mona Lisa, the Vitruvian Man, and the Last Supper. However, hopefully by now you know that he was more than that. He was an architect, he was an engineer, he was a scientist, inventor, musician, mathematician, and visionary. Naturally, it comes to mind, how does one have so many interests and has the ability to execute and contribute on so many different levels to the world from so many disconnected or seemingly disconnected fields to produce stuff like diving equipment, a self-propelled car, which is basically a car, a helical aerial screw, also known as a helicopter, a barreled cannon, also known as an automatic weapon, revolving bridges, parachutes, tanks, just to name a few. So, how exactly is this possible? Let's find out. The most critical thing that we can learn from Leonardo, and frankly any other genius's life, is to be constantly learning new things. This has almost become a cliche in the self-help world, but still, it doesn't decrease any of its significance. By going deeper into subjects that you find slightly interesting, and perhaps you could establish a connection and attachment and a passion for that subject. And if you're from the group of people who seem to think that they have no particular interest in any other subjects, my advice would be, from Leonardo's life, is to try and look at different things. One of the most common traps we fall into is having a rigid routine that doesn't really allow any flexibility. Now, when I say routine, I mean in the context of learning. not specifically our daily routines and other habits that produce productivity. This is what I believe sets Leo apart from most people. He wasn't really confined to mostly the religious curriculum in the school in the 1500s. Instead, he spent his time in nature, pondering and awing at the complexity of what was in front of him. And because he kept this childlike curiosity throughout his life, his mind wasn't limited by other people's opinion of what can and cannot be done. Therefore, he was able to produce products that were far too advanced for his generation to fully comprehend. Moreover, with there being plenty of research showing that our brains continue to remain plastic as long as we continue to learn and grow and stimulate our brains through challenges and learning new skills. Not only will our brains stay sharper as we get older, but it'll actually make the whole learning process of learning new stuff easier for us as we get better. By constantly exposing yourself to new topics and dedicating the time into these areas where you find a slight interest deep within you, you not only increase the chance of finding your talent, but you also widen your knowledge base. And this helps you link the unrelated topics, seemingly unrelated topics, to create original ideas that are completely different to what most people could even comprehend or ever establish a connection between, all because you're learning from different areas. And what a better way to summarize both Leonardo da Vinci's life and this video with the succinct quote from the man himself, which is, "Learning never exhausts the mind." Thanks for watching. Peace.